The area covered by the array was very wide, and it seemed that it had been arranged for a long time. As long as one stepped into this territory, it would be activated automatically. The man in black standing on the big tree turned around and faced Lu Muyen and the others with an eerie smile on his slightly pale face. I didn't expect a few big fish to come this time. The uniform of the 6 major sects had always been very conspicuous. After so many years of open and secret fighting, he knew at a glance that these pupils were from the 8 extreme sect. As soon as his voice fell, a man and a woman also loomed from 2 other big trees. The middle-aged man who just appeared looked at Lu Muyen and Jin Se in the large array and licked his dry lips, chuckling harshly. Kiki, I didn't expect there would be 2 such beautiful women this time sending themselves to my door to become my cauldrons. Wonderful. Haha, the woman who just appeared was dressed in a thin black gauze dress, the waves on her upper body were looming, her bright red lips pursed, and she looked at the several people like she was looking at some goods. The men this time sure are average. I want the one who looks wild and handsome, the others look like white-cut chicken one. Hearing the woman's words, their expressions, including Xiao Yes, who was mentioned, turned dark. Aside from Gu Xiu who appeared a little more ordinary, the others were all rather handsome, and although they were indeed inferior to Xiao Yi in terms of stature, but they definitely weren't white-cut chicken like the woman made them out to be. Either way, they were being disliked. Can this array be broken? Gu Xiu looked at the opponent's cultivation base and his heart sank. The 3 of them were all sword venerable cultivation bases, and the leader holding the flute was even an advanced phase sword venerable. It was truly tricky. Lu Jia took out an array compass and inspected around, his face changing over and over again. This is a grade 4 array. I just advanced to a grade 4 array master, and I don't have a deep grasp of some essentials, so it'll take at least 10 days to break this array. What if we attacked forcefully? Yukong asked. Attacking forcefully also needs a weak point to be found first, but the weak point of this array has been covered up. I haven't found it yet. Lu Jia sighed. At this time, the expressions of the several people weren't good. They couldn't wait 10 days at all. If they couldn't break this array, they may be finished by the 3 devil cultivators opposite today. Release the distress signal. Jin Se said. Lu Jia shook his head and said, this array has a restriction that seals all transmissions, so the distress signal can't be released. Jin Se and the others were stunned, then a look of anxiety rose on their faces. Try it, if it doesn't work, well, think of other ways. The several people watched anxiously as Gu Xiu took out the fireworks used to seek for help and lit it. A small colorful ball leapt into the sky above, but it couldn't break through the black light shrouded around them from the array. It really failed. Gu Xiu furrowed his brows. The several people kept thinking of ways, and even took out magic tools to attack the array, but it was all useless. Lu Muyen didn't join their attack, but instead, took out her array compass to investigate around. The several people didn't stop her when they saw it, but they didn't have any hope. They heard that Lu Muyen was a grade 3 array master, but Lu Jia, a grade 4 array master, couldn't even break the array, so how could she break it? Kiki, you don't have to do this in vain. Our boss spent a lot of effort to set up this grade 4 array. An advanced phase sword venerable who came before was even trapped to death in this array, let alone you all. The middle-aged man laughed a few times. Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? The unattractive woman glanced at Lu Muyen and Jin Se with disgust on her face. You want to bring those 2 women back to be a cauldron? I sure think it's a better choice to slice up their face, suck their essence, and toss them down the mountain to feed the wolves. She hated beautiful women the most in her life, and the 2 people who were trapped in the array could no longer be described as beautiful, but definitely absolute beauties that could cause the downfall of a kingdom, which was intolerable. The middle-aged man's expression changed and said, they're my first-class cauldrons, don't have any ideas about them. Go take that man back to enjoy first. The woman's face sank, then smiled enchantingly, that's fine too. It won't be much better even in your hands anyway. She had seen how this person tortured female cultivator cauldrons, and their looks of preferring death over life was quite comforting. The unconcealed words of the 2 made Jin Se utterly angry, but at this time, she could do nothing, and the despair in her heart slowly rose. Was she really going to be captured by the other party and be used as a cauldron? No. She'd rather die in that case. You look so ugly and still dare to come out and covet handsome men. I think the 2 of you should be a dog couple instead. Lu Muyen inserted a few Taoist seals into the array that enveloped them when the others weren't paying attention, then looked up at the man and the woman, speaking slowly. No one expected Lu Muyen to speak so suddenly. Gu Xiu and the others looked at her with disapproval. Provoking the other party at this time, did she really want to be captured to be used as a cauldron? Who are you calling ugly? The woman's expression was a little distorted. It was the first time she heard someone say she was ugly. What she cared about the most in her life was this face. Lu Muyen chuckled, of course I'm talking about you. Look at you, your eyebrows are drawn so dense and thick, your eyes are hanging, your nose is short and stump, your mouth is so red with lipstick, and when you appeared just now, I thought you were some monster that crawled out of some grave. As the saying, the appearance comes from the heart. Since you look so ugly, your heart must be more vicious than snakes and scorpions. Of course, it's not your fault you look like this, but since you even covet my senior brother's beauty, then you're not right. When he sees such an honorable appearance, he would probably even vomit out the food he ate yesterday. Let alone my senior brother, even when I see your ghostly appearance, I'm starting to feel sick now. Lu Muyen appeared disgusted. This woman had such a vicious mind, wanting to scratch her and Jean Ses face, cripple their cultivation base, then feed them to the wolves, so of course she had to step on her sore spot and verbally attack her. Junior sister, you've really discovered the truth. It's the first time I've seen such an ugly woman too. Jean Say pursed her lips and covered her mouth with a disgusted look. I feel like throwing up right now. What did it matter about this ugly and old woman? So what if they cursed her? The worst was just death. You both, the woman shrieked, her face grim. I'm going to kill you all. Immediately, she pulled out a long sword and faced the direction of Lu Muyen and Jean Say, ready to slash with all her strength, but was stopped by the middle-aged man. They're my cauldrons, don't go too far. Today I must let them unable to live nor die even as they beg for it. Get out of my way or I'll kill you together. After the woman was stepped on her sore spot by Lu Muyen, she just wanted to slash the two to pieces. It was the first time that the middle-aged man had met such pure and beautiful cauldrons. The moment he saw the two, he knew they were virgins. He didn't want his planned cauldrons to be ruined by this ugly woman, so the two fought outside the array. The young man holding the flute didn't stop them, but just cast a cold look at Lu Muyen. At this time, Gu Xiu and the others also realized. Lu Muyen deliberately angered the woman, making her want to kill them, but who knew that she would come up with such a solution at this juncture of crisis? They really underestimated her before. Lu Muyen used her peripheral vision to sweep a corner of the array where a black light was gradually weakening and hooked her lips. This was just the beginning. Lu Muyen's eyes darkened when she saw that although the two were fighting, but they weren't really killing the other. Played enough? The man leaning on the tree had a playful smile on his lips and his gaze shot directly at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen chuckled, about time. Immediately, the array compass in her hand spun around spiritedly, and a golden light flew out, turning into an arc and falling into a corner of the array where the strength had been weakened a lot. The black light on the array suddenly flickered, as if it were about to collapse and dissipate. The man narrowed his eyes, and it was filled with interest. It was the first time he had met such a thorough and interesting woman. When he flipped his hand, a black array flag was revealed, and he muttered a few words. The array flag hummed and flew straight to the sky above the array. Slivers of black light beams fell from the array flag and the circular light of the array suddenly shook. Then more than a dozen green-haired monsters emerged from the ground, and the entire dense forest was filled with dark evil force. What is this? As the green-haired monsters climbed out, corpse aura spread through the dense forest, the smell pungent and unpleasant. These are corpse owls. Lu Muyen said calmly. Gu Xiu and the others' complexions changed greatly, obviously having heard the name of corpse owls. Corpse owls were a kind of puppet that could only be refined by high-level devil cultivators. It needed to be nurtured in the dark evil pit for at least a decade. Their bodies were tough, swords couldn't penetrate, and most importantly, they basically had no weakness. Not only could it not be beaten to death, but elemental energy flames couldn't burn it either. The aura emanating from these more than a dozen corpse owls had reached the sword's sovereign cultivation base. Coupled with basically invincible and powerful bodies, although all of them except Lu Muyen and Lu Jia were sword venerables, but it would still be difficult to kill and resist. Lu Muyen took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to Gu Xiu. These corpse auras are poisonous, you should take the detoxification pills first. Seeing the green air that accompanied the corpse owls, Gu Xiu didn't hesitate and immediately distributed the pills to the several people to take. Junior sister Lu, do you have any way to deal with these corpse owls? Gu Xiu found that the calmest among them from the very beginning was Lu Muyen, who had the weakest cultivation base. At this time, seeing her calm expression without any nervousness, he actually felt an indescribable sense of trust, as if she could solve this. Lu Muyen nodded with a smile, and with a wave of her hand, a transparent void talisman floated towards the corner of the array. You guys give it your all to attack this point, and leave these corpse owls to me to deal with. Junior sister Lu, be careful. If you can't handle it, stop immediately and we'll face it together. Gu Xiu thought about it and said. With the current situation, it didn't give them much choice. Maybe if they believed in Lu Muyen, they would still have a sliver of hope. The others were filled with despair, but they weren't ones who gave up easily, and regardless of whether Lu Muyen's methods were useful or not, they still controlled their magic tools and attacked the direction of the void spirit talisman. The pupils of the man leaning on the big tree constricted and he shot some elemental energy into the array flag above the array. The corpse owls roared a few times and rushed towards the array. Lu Muyen sneered, closed her eyes, kept forming seals, then shouted lightly, explode. As soon as her voice fell, countless orange flames erupted from the ground at the edge of the array, and a few corpse owls that had stepped and screamed, burnt to ashes by the flames. You actually have a spirit flame. The man's pupils shrank, and his expression was instantly grim. The man and woman who were fighting also stopped and turned to look at Lu Muyen in the array. There was a bit of terror in their eyes. The boss corpse owls were actually destroyed by half, but they knew how powerful these corpse owls were. The leading man waved his sleeve and he put away the rest of the corpse owls. Spirit flames were the nemesis of the corpse owls. If he didn't put it away now, the remaining half would be destroyed by this woman. Suddenly, the man in the dark mist within the pendant hanging around Lu Muyen's neck opened his eyes that shone brilliantly. You sure slept well this time. As soon as he woke up, he heard Lu Muyen's sarcastic telepathic voice. I can't help it, my soul was too weak before, and it took a little longer. The dark evil force here is just the right supplement for me. He laughed and sucked hard. The suffocating dark evil force lingering around the array quickly entered the pendant and disappeared. The several other people were currently breaking the array and they weren't familiar with devil cultivators, so they didn't notice, but the man on the big tree revealed shock. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows but didn't stop him. She quickly walked to the corner where the several people were attacking, took out a black array flag as well and planted it on the ground. Then she took out a few bright white stones and buried them all around. Her hands constantly changed and one by one, array seals were inserted into the array flag, breaking the array with an array. Lu Jia couldn't resist but shout in surprise when he saw her actions. He didn't expect Lu Muyen to be able to break an array with an array. You're also a grade 4 array master? Only a grade 4 array master could barely use an array to break an array. He only just entered grade 4 and couldn't arrange it at all, but judging from Lu Mu Yan's easy movements, she wasn't as simple as just any ordinary grade 4 array master. Lu Mu Yan smiled and didn't admit nor deny. After advancing to Sword Sovereign, she could already arrange grade 5 arrays. If she advanced to peak phase Sword Sovereign, she believed that she could also use many grade 6 arrays. As Lu Mu Yan's movements became faster and faster, the weak corner gradually revealed a tendency of decadence, and the several people immediately controlled their magic tools to attack. Boom boom. With a few loud sounds, the black cover instantly collapsed. How's that possible? Boss array was actually broken by them. The black-clothed woman's eyes widened in disbelief. The middle-aged man stared at Lu Mu Yan with a little more scrutiny, then regardless of anything, he suddenly jumped and with a flash, appeared by Lu Mu Yan's side and wanted to capture her. His speed was too fast, and by the time Gu Xiu and the others responded, that person's hand was about to touch Lu Mu Yan's shoulder. Careful! The several people shouted. An arc of ridicule rose on Lu Mu Yan's lips, but she didn't move. Just when everyone thought she would be captured, the red figure in front of the man disappeared like a ghost. When she appeared again, a golden sword aura attacked from behind the man, and he quickly retreated in shock. But it happened too quickly, and his previous focus was on catching Lu Mu Yan, so an arm was still sliced off by the golden sword aura. The middle-aged man quickly took out a bottle of medicine and poured it on the wound, and only then did the blood from the broken arm stop gushing out. How can you be so fast? He looked at the beautiful woman who was smiling beautifully and movingly in horror. Right now, he could no longer feel much appreciation, only infinite heart palpitations of fear. Lu Mu Yan played with the small golden sword in her hand, her red lips lightly opened. Even if a dead person knows a lot, it can't be taken to their coffin. The man suddenly felt a chill on his back and a shadow of death seemed to envelop his heart. He was just about to take a step back to boss. Suddenly, golden vines emerged from the ground and dragged him directly into the soil, then came his shrill screams and the sound gradually softened until it disappeared. Not going to save him? Lu Mu Yan raised her eyes with a half-smile and looked at the man who was still leaning against the tree. Only a piece of trash, so what if he dies? The man spit out a sentence indifferently which made everyone surrounding feel coldness in their hearts. Lu Mu Yan's half-smile, the calmness she possesses, and that strength she just revealed deeply shocked Gu Xiu and the others. From the moment they entered the enemy's array trap, she was constantly thinking about the solution. When they were forced into despair by the opponent's various means, she acted. She broke the corpse owls and the array with a single blow, and the conversation with that mysterious and powerful devil cultivator was like a conversation between equals which shocked them. True. Lu Mu Yan nodded with a smile, then pointed at the woman who had wanted to disfigure her and Jean Say earlier and said, then are you not going to want this trash too? The man in black glanced at the woman who had a completely twisted look and said indifferently, if you have the ability to take her life, then do whatever. For his subordinates, he never left useless people. After staying on this continent for so long, he had no feelings, let alone for two subordinates who could betray him at any time. He knew exactly what the hearts of these two people were, and they had partnered up with the second boss behind his back. Want to take his place? A cold arc of ridicule rose on his lips. Dream on. Boss, you're going to give up on me? The woman looked at the handsome man leaning lazily on the big tree in disbelief, this man that she truly liked once. The black-clothed man furrowed his brows slightly. He hated the ugly woman's affectionate infatuation with him. The reason why she hooked up with the second boss behind his back was precisely to make himself her cauldron when the day came for him to be replaced. Just thinking about it made him sick. Don't you see that your boss is disgusted with you? Lu Mu Yan sneered. The woman's eyes revealed madness. She turned her head to look at Lu Mu Yan fiercely and shouted, I'm going to kill you. After finishing, she brandished a sword light and slashed towards Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan curled her lips into a smile and disappeared in a flash. The sword light naturally only slashed the tree behind her. She had been completing missions in the sect for half a year, and the fastest improvement was actually the flash steps movement method. Now, not only did she cultivate the flash steps method to the highest level, but she had also created a set of movement skills based on the flash step, so this sword light was nothing to her. When she first reached Sword Sovereign, she could already kill demonic beasts at the level of Sword Venerable. At this time, she already successfully formed her core, so it was very easy for her to deal with a Sword Venerable like that woman opposite. The woman opposite was stunned for a bit, then her heart toughened. A pink smoke spewed out of her mouth. The smoke quickly turned into a long stream and wanted to wrap around Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew cold. This pink smoke was a method of a devil cultivator. The person who it sprayed on would be infected with a king of Y poison, and they would need to have sex with different men for the rest of their lives, otherwise the meridians of their whole body would break, and they would die. The woman knew that she might not be Lu Mu Yan's opponent, so she activated her secret skill with all her might. She wanted Lu Mu Yan, the woman that insulted her, to want to die than live. Didn't the pupils of the 6 major sects pride themselves on being so pure and clean? Then she would want Lu Mu Yan to be inseparable from men forever in the future, and even different men, so that she would be named a slut in the 8 extreme sect. Lu Mu Yan could see what she was thinking. She knew this method and naturally knew how to break it. Clusters of orange flames burst from her palm, instantly enveloping the oncoming pink stream. In a moment, the pink smoke was completely dissipated by the spirit flame. Spirit flames were the nemesis of all evil methods and ghosts in this world, so it could naturally burn this poisonous gas. How it is possible, your spirit flame can actually break my secret skill? The woman cried out in shock. Each time she used this secret skill, it worked without fail. There was even once where she made a beautiful female sword saint sword master fall into the trap in a sneak attack, yet she didn't expect for it to be broken by a little child today. Lu Muyen was too lazy to explain to her, so with a thought, the orange flame formed a rope of fire and instantly trapped the woman who turned to run away. The woman was bound by the spirit flame, her whole body was burning, and she only felt a burning pain and couldn't resist but let out a few shrill screams. When the spirit flame had tortured her enough, Shue Shue's vines emerged from the ground and dragged her into the ground to suck her blood essence. From beginning to end, the man on the big tree didn't intervene to help, but just watched all this indifferently. After Lu Muyen finished dealing with the woman, he raised his eyes to look at her. Did you blow the flute that fought against my Xiao before? Yes. Lu Muyen nodded. Very good. You are a good opponent. A chuckle sounded from the man's thin lips. He looked at the colorful light that exploded in the sky not far away and said meaningfully, I look forward to seeing you next time. As soon as he finished speaking, before Lu Muyen and the others could act, his entire body gradually became transparent and finally disappeared from the big tree. Should we chase him? Jin Sei just had a feeling that the man who just disappeared was very dangerous, but if they didn't eliminate him, he would be even more dangerous. Lu Muyen shook her head and said, this isn't his real body, so it's useless to chase after him. It seems that our task this time is very tricky. Peng Yang sighed as he looked at the place where the man disappeared. Gu Xiu looked at the colorful light not far away. The sword sect's pupils are in danger, let's go and help. Once the 6 sects missions activated, no matter whether the pupils of the sects were compatible or not, if one side was in trouble, all sides must support, otherwise they would be handled according to the sect rules. Moreover, the relationship between the sword sect and the 8 extreme sect wasn't that bad, so they must go tread this muddy water. Alright. The others didn't object either and quickly followed Gu Xiu in that direction. And such a situation also occurred in the other 2 deep mountains. The pupils of the 6 major sects were all attacked by devil cultivators. Along the way, Lu Jia and the others' eyes would fall on Lu Muyen from time to time with scrutiny and exploration. The speed of the reversal from the woman they initially thought was going to drag them back was too fast and caught them off guard. At this time, they also remembered that the sect leader and the several elders attached great importance to Lu Muyen and it was not without reason, let alone because of Elder Ao Rong. Lu Muyen didn't explain anything. She didn't care about what others thought of her. With these so-called senior brothers, her attitude was to befriend them if they could, and it didn't matter if she couldn't. However, after today's battle, she left a deep impression in the hearts of the several people and they would no longer think that she would drag them back. When the several people arrived at the place where the colorful firework was released, they saw that the pupils of the sword sect were trapped in an array, but it was different from the one Lu Muyen and the others were trapped in. There was no restriction that isolated transmissions. At this time, the faces of the sword sect's pupils were pale, and at first glance, it was evident that their essence was being absorbed by the array. Junior sister Lu, it'll trouble you to break the array. Gu Xiu turned his head and looked at Lu Muyen urgently. Lu Muyen nodded, all right. Those devil cultivators will be handed over to you all. With a glance, the several devil cultivators who trapped the pupils of the sword sect here was of the same level as the 2 she killed, and there was no leader here. Lu Muyen walked to the side of the array and took out her array flag to begin breaking the array with an array. Gu Xiu and the others also fought with the devil cultivators in full swing. After a while, Lu Muyen broke the array and rescued the pupils of the sword sect. The leading pupil of the sword sect thanked her, then rushed out to help Gu Xiu and the others with his group. Not long after, under the joint attack of the pupils of the sword sect and 8 extreme sect, all the devil cultivators were slayed on the spot. The pupils of the 8 extreme sect jointly slayed the besieging devil cultivators, but they failed to leave one alive. Both of the ones who were captured alive committed suicide. The leading pupil of the sword sect's face sank. It seems that these devil cultivators came prepared, and many mercenaries and wandering cultivators died in their hands already. I wonder what the other sect's situations are. Gu Xiu sighed, without any of them alive, we can't ask for the news of the missing pupils. Why don't we meet with the other sects to discuss the countermeasures first? A pupil of the sword sect suggested. That's all we can do for now. Gu Xiu nodded. After they entered this deep mountain, they encountered 2 waves of ambush attacks by devil cultivators. The other party already arranged an array to besiege and kill them, so continuing to go deeper into the mountain would only be more dangerous. After Lu Muyen broke the array, she leaned against a big tree with her arms folded, pondering. I wonder what this junior sister is called. Thank you, junior sister, for breaking the array and saving us earlier. The leader of the sword sect walked up to Lu Muyen and smiled at her. Lu Muyen raised her head and smiled lightly, saying, my name is Lu Muyen. So it's junior sister Lu, I've long heard your name. You must be junior brother Lu Mubei's younger sister. The leader of the sword sect continued with a smile, my name is Han Yi. Senior brother Han, you know my elder brother. Lu Muyen's expression revealed a bit of warmth when she heard Lu Mubei's name. Naturally. Junior brother Lu has been accepted as a direct disciple by my master. He and I are senior and junior brother of the same school. Han Yi and Lu Mubai had a good relationship. After all, he was his little junior brother, so he usually took care of him. Lu Muyen smiled, so elder brother is this powerful. To be accepted as a direct disciple by a master of the sword sect meant that Lu Mubei's talent and strength should be excelling in the sword sect. When she was in the inn, Gu Xiu focused on introducing Lu Muyen and the others to the situation of the other sect's pupils that were completing the mission together, especially the leading pupils, so that's why she knew that Han Yi was the direct disciple of the strongest headmaster of the sword school of the sword sect. Junior brother Lau's talent is extraordinary. After he activated the sword spirit constitution half a year ago, he was accepted as a direct disciple by master. He only needs to win a spot in the inner sect, then he would be able to enter the inner sect's core school to report. Speaking of Lu Mu Bai, Han Yi had a look of admiration in his eyes. Elder brother is the sword spirit constitution? Lu Mu Yen asked in surprise. She did discover that Lu Mu Bai's constitution was a little special, but she didn't expect it to have hidden the sword spirit constitution. Han Yi nodded with a smile. Junior brother Lao's sword spirit constitution was covered by his bloodline before, and it was also unintentionally activated when he was doing a mission for the sect. I see. Then I'll have to trouble senior brother Han to take care of my elder brother a little. Lu Mu Yen was happy with Lu Mu Bai's growth inwardly. After activating the sword spirit constitution, her elder brother's future achievements would grow even more. Let alone for the fact that Mu Bai is my little junior martial brother, even if it were just for the sake of junior sister Lu breaking us out of the array and saving us, I will also take care of junior brother Lu. What Han Yi said wasn't a lie. When they were trapped in the array before, they only felt that their essence was constantly being drained. If Lu Mu Yen hadn't cracked the array, they would have become dried corpses right now. Senior brother Han is too polite. The several major sects are completing a mission together, so it should only be that we help each other. Lu Mu Yen thought about it, then took out an interspatial ring and handed it to Han Yi with a smile. Senior brother Han, can you help me give this interspatial ring to elder brother? Inside the ring were a lot of pills and talismans she refined, and it would be of great help to Lu Mu Bai after obtaining them. Sure, it'll definitely help you bring it to him. Han Yi took the ring and put it away. Then Lu Mu Yen took out 2 bottles of pills and stuffed them to Han Yi. There are elemental nourishing pills and elemental recovery pills in here, and they're of some use to senior brother. I will trouble you with my elder brother in the future. She heard that Han Yi mingled well in the sword sect, had quite some authority, and he was also an upright person. If Lu Mu Bai could obtain his care in the sect, then he would definitely have a better time. Han Yi was stunned for a moment, then looked at the 2 bottles of pills with a half smile and said jokingly, is junior sister bribing me? You can keep these pills for yourself. Since senior brother promised to take care of your elder brother, I won't break the promise. Senior brother, as the saying goes, the mouth that has been fed by others is soft, the hand that has received wouldn't overreach one doesn't obtain a reward if it's not deserved. If you accept my pills, you'll be more at ease, no? No? Lu Mu Yen said straightforwardly. The other pupils were stunned when they heard her words, then couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips. Was it really good to bribe so openly like this? But why did they envy Han Yi so much? Although the pill in his hand was only grade 3, but it was very useful to sword masters at Sword Venerable Cultivation base. In particular, the elemental nourishing pill could not only consolidate one's origins and dredge the meridians, but also make elemental energy purer if taken long term. It was a grade 3 pill with grade 4 effects. On the entire Tianling continent, this pill had long been frantically sought for. Although the major sects were interested, but because the Lu clan's pill shop had the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance standing behind them, they didn't act rashly. Since this is junior sister Lao's kind intent, then brother Han should not refuse anymore. Junior sister isn't short of pills. Gu Xiu saw that Lu Mu Yen attached great importance to that elder brother, so he stepped forward and said with a smile. Haha. Han Yi laughed a few times and said refreshingly, sure. Then I'll accept junior sister Lao's bribe, and I will take good care of junior brother Lu. Lu Mu Yan's bold and open behavior had aroused the goodwill of the several people. The people of the sword sect were all rather straightforward, and the long-lasting path of righteousness was more conducive to cultivating the sword. If she secretly bribed Han Yi, it would instead arouse disgust from him. After all, taking care of Lu Mu Bai wasn't a big deal, and there was no need to make it so mysterious and secretive. Shoo shoo. Suddenly, the sky in the distance lit up with gorgeous, colorful fireworks. That's the summoning signal of the heavenly secret palace. Let's rush over and take a look. Han Yi looked up and said. Immediately, the pupils of the 2 sects rushed towards the direction of the heavenly secret palace. After Lu Mu Yen broke the 2 arrays, all the dark evil force around the array was also sucked up by the person in the pendant. Now let's talk about your identity. Lu Mu Yen spoke telepathically to the person in the pendant while rushing. The man in the pendant was silent for a moment before he said in a grim tone, have you heard of Jun Luo Chen of the devil race from the upper world? Lu Mu Yen turned to look at Mo Yen and asked with her gaze. She didn't know anything about the upper world. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes narrowed, are you the devil lord Jun Luo Chen of the devil realm? I didn't expect anyone to still know my name even now. The man in the pendant scoffed at himself, I was the former devil lord Jun Luo Chen. I don't even know who landed as the current devil lord. How was your physical body damaged? Have you been betrayed? Lu Mu Yen didn't expect that this person was a devil lord that dominated an entire realm. To have his physical body be destroyed even when he sat in that sort of position, then he was most likely betrayed by those close to him. She didn't know whether her luck was too good or too awful. Not only did she contract Mo Yen, a demon king of a portion of the demon realm, but now she even picked up a devil lord of a devil realm. Jun Luo Chen pondered for a bit, then said with a chilling resentment in his voice, that's right. So I'm going to go back to the devil realm to take back the position of devil lord and send that person into the underworld, never to be reincarnated again. Basically, Lu Mu Yen could understand Jun Luo Chen's hostile tone. If she was betrayed by someone close to her, her body destroyed, and even her 7 spirits and 3 souls separated from her body, then she would take all the grudges and return to take back her own things when she got the chance, sending the enemy to hell to never be reincarnated again. Is the devil cultivator in the deep mountains from your devil realm? Lu Muyen asked. Jun Luochen snorted with disdain, just them? I'm from the devil realm of the upper world, and they're just the devil race from a lower world. Is the upper world also divided into many interfaces? Lu Muyen was actually curious about the upper world that they spoke of. Jun Luochen was slightly surprised to hear her question, obviously not expecting that she didn't know about the upper world. Didn't the demon king on your shoulder tell you? Lu Muyen glared at Mo Yen with her beautiful eyes. He said he would tell me when I had that strength. It's time for her to know now, you can tell her. Mo Yan's voice sounded faintly. Now that Lu Muyen, this woman, provoked the devil lord of the devil realm, once the two cooperated, they would definitely slaughter back to the upper world. The upper world is called the Guangling world. There aren't many interfaces in the upper world, but there are 4 major realms, namely the human realm, devil realm, demon realm, and the sea realm. Jun Luochen paused, then continued, although the Guangling world is only divided into 4 major realms, but the area is very vast and boundless. If a high-level sword master wanted to travel through the entire Guangling world, it's heard that it would take at least thousands of years, and on the premise of not encountering danger or resistance. Is the sea realm where the sea race lives? Lu Muyen asked after thinking for a bit. She wasn't surprised by the vastness of Guangling world. After all, the area of the spiritual realm she once lived in was also vast and boundless, with numerous races. Yes. Among the 4 major realms, the sea race is the strongest existence, but there are also traces of the sea race on this interface of yours. It's useless for you to know other information for now. You'll know it naturally when you reach Guangling world. Jun Luochen replied. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow, but also didn't ask any more. Right now, she still had so many things to deal with on this interface, and she didn't have much energy to devote to the currently illusory upper world, so she only needed to know it in general. Lu Muyen chatted with Jun Luochen along the way and learned a lot about devil cultivators. Half a day later, they arrived at the location where the Heavenly Secret Palace's signal was released. At this time, the pupils of the several other sects were already waiting there, but except for the pupils of the Heavenly Secret Palace, the pupils of the other sects were in a relatively sorry state. There was even a decrease in numbers. They must have been lost when they fell into the devil cultivator's trap. You're actually fine? The leader of the vast mountain sect couldn't help but exclaim when he saw that Gu Xiu and the others not only didn't lose anyone but were even safe. Gu Xiu snorted coldly, do you really want to see something happen to us? Haha, how could that be? The vast mountain sect's pupil knew that his tongue had slipped and he smiled awkwardly, but he was secretly resentful. This time, their vast mountain sect suffered the heaviest losses. Not only did they lose 3 inner pupils, but they also lost 2 saint treasures before being able to slay those devil cultivators. Brother Qi must have something important to call us here, right? Han Yi stepped forward and asked the elegant Ming Xiu. Ming Xiu stood with his hands behind his back, his handsome expression showing a rare solemnity. We caught a leader of the group of devil cultivators, and we discovered from him that the missing pupils of the 6 major sects are currently trapped in the Dark Evil Cliff. What? They're actually trapped at the Dark Evil Cliff. The Spirit Beast sect leader exclaimed. The Dark Evil Cliff was different from the 3 mountains they had visited before. It was the most dangerous place at Falling Ghost River. The Dark Evil force at the bottom of the cliff was something even strong sword saints didn't dare go deep towards. If they went, weren't they courting death? Are we going to have to go to the Dark Evil Cliff? That place isn't somewhere we can go. The leading pupil of the vast mountain sect immediately objected. They already lost 3 people, and if they went to the Dark Evil Cliff, there may be no return. Ming Xiu glanced at the 2 of them indifferently. The place where the missing pupils are trapped isn't at the top of the Dark Evil Cliff and there is still some distance. Now that we've accepted the mission, we should go and check it out. Of course, if any of the sect's pupils want to back out, I won't stop you. His eyes were indifferent, but he held a look as if looking down upon the world, which made the several leading pupils feel pressured. Our 8 extreme sect will never back out. Gu Xiu said without hesitation. Han Yi then said, our sword sect will also not back out. Well, go to. The medicine sect's leading pupil said with furrowed brows. After listening to the promise of the 3, Ming Xiu nodded with satisfaction and turned his eyes to the pupils of the vast mountain sect and the spirit beast sect. Under his pressure, the 2 leading pupils could only grit their teeth and agree, we will naturally not back down either. Very well. Let's not delay any longer and leave now. Ming Xiu retracted his gaze and disappeared in place first. The pupils of the other sects didn't dare dawdle and quickly followed. Lu Muyen pursed her lips. Ming Xiu, this guy, looked like a king wherever he was. Yen, did you discover anything? A magnetic, clear voice suddenly sounded in her mind. I think the devil cultivators have ulterior motives for trapping the missing pupils on the Dark Evil Cliff. Maybe they're deliberately diverting our attention. Lu Muyen pondered for a moment and replied. Ahead, Ming Xiu's eyes were dyed with a smile, indeed. Their purpose should be for the soon-to-be-born obsidian fluorite in Falling Ghost River. You asked the pupils of the 6 major sects to go to the Dark Evil Cliff to investigate on purpose to let those devil cultivators relax their vigilance. Lu Muyen always knew that Ming Xiu was very scheming. After arriving at Dark Evil Cliff, well, act according to opportunity. When the birth of the obsidian fluorite you estimated is approaching, well, do allure the tiger out of the mountain and go back to snatch it. Ming Xiu never hid his dark side in front of Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen's lips raised in an arc. What about the pupils of the other sects? It's enough to ensure their safety. If one wants to get a share of the porridge, one also has to see if they have that ability or not. Ming Xiu obviously didn't take the other pupils of the 6 major sects seriously. He naturally had this arrogant capital. Lu Mu Yen also wasn't prepared to be so big-hearted to share a heaven-rank spiritual item with the pupils of the other sects so generously. If those people could snatch it themselves, she wouldn't destroy that opportunity, but she wouldn't help either. She had reached the pinnacle of the understanding realm with her water attribute elemental energy. She could enter great achievement as long as she had an opportunity. It was necessary to have a handy water attribute natal magic tool. I met an incarnation of a devil cultivator earlier, and he exuded a strong aura. If his real body came to snatch the obsidian fluorite, I'm afraid that we'll have trouble. Lu Mu Yen remembered that black-clothed man and cautioned Ming Xiu. Ming Xiu's eyes concealed a very faint fighting intent, and his thin lips overflowed with a curve. Isn't it too boring to have no strong opponents to snatch the obsidian fluorite with? True. The falling ghost river will definitely be interesting in a few days. Lu Mu Yen also revealed a look of eagerness. She just loved to join in the fun the most. Besides, the obsidian fluorite hadn't been born yet, so it couldn't be considered to be discovered by the devil cultivators. Those who saw it had a share, so she and Ming Xiu would definitely snatch it.